Alright, so I've taken a bit of time to, cool down a bit, because when I first saw, this rebalancing information, I was so upset. Like, I was on a call with my friends, and, when we all saw the info, we were just, going crazy, because literally, we couldn't believe our eyes. And I'll be honest, I still cannot believe this call, and I think it is the biggest L that Kabam has taken this year. But let's just talk about it. Let's read through it and just dissect it. So from the top here, the Serpent, true to his title as the God of Fear, was designed to be a punishing defender, requiring both skilled gameplay and the right combination of RPG abilities to counter his wide range of threats. So let's just talk about the skilled gameplay and right combination. So RPG abilities, that's fair, I get it, you have to have a way to counter his kit, for example, the power gain and everything. Now here's where I think that it's just straight up incorrect. Skilled gameplay, there are some aspects of the Serpent that just have no skill involved. For example, his power gain, right? And I get the RPG counter, right? But even the counter that they name dropped in this little discussion here, Wiccan, he's not even a full counter to the Serpent, because with Wiccan here, he has neutralized to counter that last phase, right? But the Serpent has a 125% chance to trigger that. So even Wiccan, who was name dropped in this whole little discussion as a top tier counter, can't even fully counter the Serpent. And when that death immunity does trigger against Wiccan, Wiccan is just one shot, and he just cannot deal with it. So I get having the right RPG counter, but even the counters named in this discussion do not counter one of the most BS parts of the Serpent. Additionally, champions like Kushala still struggle against that final phase if the Serpent just doesn't play ball. So yeah, I really just cannot understand how that didn't get adjusted, because the immortality just causes so much trouble for so many different players, because it is just so BS in my opinion. By the way, if you hear a Discord notification, I apologize, I'm still in that said call. But let's see, the skilled gameplay part, I honestly just do not think that it matters that much when you have just so much BS thrown at you with the Serpent. For example, it's not just the death immunity, right? There are other aspects of his kit that are just insane to deal with. So in my eyes, when I see a defender, I think of two different aspects of a defender, and they're usually separate, right? They're usually separate things. So the first aspect is, overwhelming the player with stats. For example, Dust. Her defensive kit isn't that bad, but it's her stats that make her a pretty valuable defender. Her Dust is easy to deal with, and it has a lot of counters, obviously, but it's her stats that make her really, really annoying to deal with for most players. But even she can be taken with anyone, right? Now, an example of a kit-focused defender is Bullseye. Sorry, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. It's Bullseye, where I was gonna take that part out, but I'll just keep it. But Bullseye, where he is focused on a kit, right? His stats aren't that bad, but it's the kit that makes him a problem. With the Serpent, it's a combination of both, because his kit is really annoying, with the power gain, the immortalities, and the resistances to burst damage and critical damage penetration. Yeah, this character has an overwhelming kit, obviously, but when you look into the stats as well, that's when it starts to get even crazier for this champion, because this champion has one of the highest health pools in the game. He has base crit res as well. He also has access to a resist up, and that resist up is insanely potent. He has access to a pierce, which is insanely potent. This character just he has a lot of stat based abilities and just straight up RPG based abilities, and when they combine, they are just way too deadly to keep unchanged, in my opinion. So yeah, he has just so many things to deal with that just are so annoying to deal with, and it overwhelms all but 4 characters, and some of the 4 characters named in this discussion here don't even fully counter him. So yeah, I just do not get this champion, man. And it says, let's see, the Serpent's threats translate well as an attacker. I agree. He is a great attacker. I love him on attack. Like, his utility is amazing. In long fights, he has great damage output. I think he is honestly a very, very fun champion to play. So I agree with that. Yeah, I think he has landed as an attacker pretty well. He's not meant for like battlegrounds, and like even if you want to use him for battlegrounds, you just don't use him on attack in battlegrounds. You just place him as an auto win. So yeah, there's that. Like in questing and stuff, great attacker. With his aggressive defensive target, we were expecting the Serpent to make an immediate impact in both of our PvP metas, Battlegrounds and Alliance War. Now this has happened, but I think it's happened too well. In Battlegrounds, he has just ruled over the game mode. He is an auto win in some metas, and like the way he interacts with some specific metas, like Extend for example, yeah, he is literally an auto win. Like, I'm not even like just exaggerating. He is literally an automatic win, and that's just problematic, right? Additionally, even without like any enhancements, he still is a very tanky champion, and like he is still a very, very strong time stall. So he does feel like a very, very like high advantage type of character. And in Alliance War, like most tier 1 Alliance War deaths are caused by the Serpent. So yeah, I get how he's making an impact, but I feel like that impact is honestly way too strong. So yeah, like if that was his job, I think it was just done too well. But yeah, he has cosmic class threats like Power Gain, Death Immunity, and Pierce. Yeah, like those three combined, like that's just way too deadly, man. It's just way too much. Over time, as players identify new counters and strategies. Okay, let's stop here for a second because this is important. Now, I get the new counters and strategies part, but here's the thing that I think Kabam really shouldn't like. One of these strategies for countering the Serpent in that Extend meta was just straight up pausing. Now, I know Kabam, and even I do not pause. I do not like pausing, and I know that Kabam doesn't like pausers either. I don't understand how they would like see how many people paused against the Serpent because of that really, really frustrating power gain, and we're like, you know what, okay, let's just keep this guy unchanged. The power gain is fine anywhere else, when the case is, hey, that power gain is still very frustrating in any other meta, and people will still restart in any, or not restart, but they pause in any other meta because of that power gain, because if they don't pause, that SP3 has a very strong chance of just one-shotting them. So yeah, I don't think that all the strategies have been like strategies that Kabam want to encourage, like especially the pausing part with Serpent. But yeah, like I don't really think that he's stabilizing, like especially at a healthy level, given some of the metas that he's been in, where like he is just the best defender and he is just an auto win. Like I don't think that's a healthy level to like really, I just don't think you should call it that. But specifically, we're happy to see that Symbiote Supreme and Wiccan saw increased usage over time to combat the Serpent. So yeah, Wiccan, like I said, he is a good counter, but he's not an ideal counter in my opinion, because one, he has like 3 health, and additionally, even if you play perfectly, he will still, like, there is still that chance where he will just like trigger that death immunity still, because that 125% chance is just so stupid. And once that does trigger, Wiccan just, he really struggles to survive that. Now, Symbiote Supreme, I do agree, I think he is a great counter to Serpent. Now, here's my issue with this. Even if he counters him well, he is still a long fight. Like, it's still a very long fight with a Symbiote Supreme in like battlegrounds, unless like I'm just mistaken, but I'm pretty sure like it's still like he doesn't do it that fast, and like that's still a very, very high chance that you're gonna win that round regardless. So yeah, he might be a good counter, but that's mainly just for Alliance War, and like in battlegrounds, like Serpent just like has that advantage like of just being such a tanky character. So like Symbiote Supreme, I don't think he even does that good for him in battlegrounds. Let's see. Players who comfortable using America Chavez and Kushala. Chavez is like the one hard counter to Serpent, I feel like. She counters everything about him essentially. Kushala, she also is a good counter, but given the meta, given like the circumstances, she could very well not be one, especially with like the fact that she doesn't counter the power gain. So like in Extend, we saw her just get completely walloped by the Serpent, which then encouraged pausing, which is just never a good thing, and Kabam obviously agrees. So it says, while we expect the Serpent to remain a high-performing defender, we're happy with how his performance as a defender has played out so far, and we won't be making any changes. I just do not think that's going to stand. I think that the backlash should be enough to make like them realize that, oh yeah, maybe we should like tune him down a bit. Now, how would I tune him down? Well, I would start with the death immunity, right? That just, it doesn't have to go per se, but I think the power gain has to be severely tuned down, like by at least 75%. Like if you want to have it there still for some reason, like just tune it down like to the point where it doesn't make or break like the whole entire fight, because you can work really hard to bypass all the other silly stuff like the pierce, the resist up, the other power gain, but like once you get to that death immunity, you just don't really have a fighting chance. I feel like you can try to play around it with like relics and stuff, but if you don't have like your relic ready because you have to use it in a different like part of the fight, then you really are just kind of cooked if he doesn't want to play ball and like if he doesn't want to throw special attacks. So I think the death immunity should really be like readjusted in some way, and like the other stuff like the resist up and everything, I think that should still be looked at least. Like the resist up is just so potent, and it's on a character that just has already so many insane like abilities. For example, like the burst damage reduction, the critical penetration reduction, the crit res, the high health. Like adding a resist up that is that potent just feels like so much overkill. So I just don't understand how that didn't get looked at least. I mean, it got looked at obviously, but I just don't understand how that went through, because like he just has so many ways, like so many different ways of just mitigating damage, and that resist up is just a cherry on a really, really bad ice cream in my opinion. So yeah, like I would look at the death immunity for sure. The resist up also just insanely potent. This character, he's causing so many issues, man. Like I get that with the right counters he is like a fine defender, I guess, even though most of his best counters with like just even one node just do not work against him. But like, I do not agree with this decision. I just think it is a pretty big L from Gabam. I think it is the biggest one of the year. It's not the biggest one ever because of 12.0, but like still, yeah, I don't really know. I want to see y'all's thoughts on this. I'll just stop it here, I guess. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this change, or like on no changes, I guess. And yeah, that's about it for me.